just 2 weeks left to make this previously abandoned cottage habitable, and inside we found mould.
Because I'm not doing it for a change. Woo! You know you're in trouble when you've got this many bits to put into that many holes. So today is a momentous occasion, a massive milestone, and that milestone is that the heating engineer turned up and commissioned the manifold. So all 4 of the horizontal collector loops have been electrofusion welded. 2 big header, the flow and return up to the cottage, have been electrofusion welded. So that is the manifold done. So that's the entire external element of the ground source heat pump completely finished. The heat pump itself has been placed in its little housing, and there she is. There she is, still with her packaging crate on. So next visit, a flow and return to the horizontal collector loop will be hooked up to the heat pump. Oh yeah, we also need a little T-section here so that we can feed the hot water cylinder. We're going to have another flow and return pipe here into the corner of the utility area where the new hot water cylinder is currently sitting. You can just about make it out through the reflection of the glass, the silver beast. Exciting day. This cottage is one step closer to having a central heating system. Loads of work, so there's probably at least a full day's work there for them. For them, because I'm not doing it for a change. Woohoo! What else has been going on? Kitchen cabinet. Sink looking pretty good. I've got 2 more cabinets to build to start filling in the temporary long-term kitchen area. It's going well. We're closing in. Jobs are getting ticked off the list. Progress. Well, look at that. The sink is temporarily long-term in place. Isn't that a sight for sore eyes? Lots to do, but it's nice to be working on the finishing touches like installing a kitchen. Today is going to be a day of inside jobs, and Lord knows I've got plenty of those. So this door is now kind of permanently shut. We're not going to be using this anymore. This has been for the last 2 years our primary entrance because it's actually convenient from the caravan, but because we need to start filling this space with our kitchen, today is the day. So it's actually just been screwed shut. Another undoing some work, a huge frustration, which is, and it's something that we wouldn't have seen if we had just completed all of the plastering in one hit. Would we have seen it? We would have seen it down the line because it would have been a problem that would have presented itself after we'd moved in and after everything was finished. But it's presented itself early because the plastering has been delayed, and that massive headache is this mold issue. So all of the walls and the window reveals, the cheeks and the base, are all going to be grey coat, sand cement lime render finish, but on all of the reveals for the headers are all going to be a smooth gypsum skim coat. This technique was actually suggested to us by our plasterer. It actually makes the rest of the traditional style grey coat finish actually pop, because you've got the contrast between the smooth header and then the kind of textured traditional style walls. So I really liked his idea, but we put some slabs, some plasterboard up there, some gypsum plasterboard. Look at those mold patches, huge mold patch there, there and there, and that has been during the summer while the window has been open permanently. It's been seeing fresh air and it's been getting good air movement. I've asked a few people on this and there was no definitive reason as to why this was happening. Mould is due to water collecting, right? My suspicion is the water's collecting on that header in summer because the warm air has been rising and coming in that window while it was open and actually hitting this header, which is in contact with the stone cottage, right? The 3 foot thick stone cottage walls, which are actually going to be cooler than the ambient end temperature during summer. So that hot air carrying loads of moisture is hitting that cool piece of plasterboard and some moisture is condensing on it, hence the mould, right? Oh man, it's even worse here, look at that. Really significant mould build up there. Pretty much on every window header where it's been open during summer while we've been waiting for that finished plastering coat to happen, that mould has built up. I'm not happy with plastering over it. I've come up with a solution. I don't know if it's going to work. I hope it's going to work. And that solution is to put something which is a little bit, not impervious, but wouldn't harbour the mould as well. And my solution was, instead of a cement backer board, use a tile backer board, which has got a insulated core. To do so, I'm going to have to undo some work again, and it's going to be a bit of a messy job. That's the plan. I need to do a messy job without creating a mess. So wish me luck. The scene of destruction before it starts. Come on, make life easy for me. Mouldy plasterboard paper. Delicious. Got the 2 mushroom tugs to cut off, but otherwise it came off without too much of a fight, thank the Lord. So here we go, here's all of the cabinetry, all laid out with all of its panels and all of its disassembled glory, ready to be assembled. One massive IKEA instruction manual. And you know you're in trouble when you've got this many bits to put into that many holes. Oh dear.
guys, I'm in the room that we're going to be renovating up here first. This will be Trevor's bedroom. There's loads of crap in here, loads of building stuff, and I probably could do with K-Van moving it out. There's some really heavy bags of, what even is that? Line pointing? Cement? All sorts of stuff. I'm not going to attempt that on my own. I'm going to hoover around it, so I'm probably going to have to do a second pass, but I'm going to at least make a start because he's not here. He's been up since 4 AM, bless him, and so he's knocked off early and gone for a sauna at the gym. So, yeah. So dusty. So yeah, gonna hoover the ceiling again and the windows. This room isn't going to be too bad though, because all it really needs is a lick of paint. The floorboards are in really good condition here, so we're gonna just put down a rug. Trevor's happy with that. Paint the walls. She wants to paint all of this alpine wood cladding, so fine. Paint the ceiling and move some furniture in. That's far easier than anything we've done thus far, right? Here's what we're working with. Hey hun, what's it time for? It's time for comment of the week. Doing this solo, I'll explain at the end why. This week I had a ton of comments, people telling me off for painting in Crocs. Yes, you're right, I shouldn't have been painting in Crocs. It was not wise of me, especially if they were not in, as some people call it, 4x4 mode with the strap down at the back. I will endeavour to do better next time, although you've probably seen me in this video painting the third appendage in said Crocs. I did that before I saw all of your wise wisdom. We had tons of, it was quite funny, we had tons of people telling me off for painting things outside when that's not critical to the grant timeline. Fair point. Lots of people telling me off for painting something that's going to be demolished anyway, and yet several of you also get it and get why we've done it. Lots of people saying it looks really great now the appendages are this anthracite grey. More than the number of people who were scratching their heads at me painting the appendages were asking when the heck you're getting rid of that ugly turquoise paint. So it's a good question, and the answer is it's on my list, but I don't know if I have sporty enough Crocs to scale the side of the cottage up that high. And as you probably understood by what I was, the climbing apparatus around here, we don't have a very reliable ladder and the ground is very uneven around the cottage, so I'm not sure how I'm going to get up there yet. Maybe I'll have to rent a cherry picker, who knows. But it is on the books at some point. But shout out to this week's comment of the week, which really made me chuckle. This comment from Elizabeth Barbarous had us in absolute stitches. She said, I think it's time to suggest stilts. I suggest pausing this and reading this in full because it is a delightful comment, and in particular I love the line that says, there were balloons too, it was very colourful and she looked confident and happy. Oh, Elizabeth, you cracked us up. So many of you guys keep us smiling week in, week out. We love you for it. Thanks, guys. You know your comments are like the lifeblood of this project at this point. Not only your wisdom, but your laughs as well. We really appreciate you. Thanks for commenting. Maybe next week we'll choose yours.
Good morning, folks. So, as you saw from the time lapse, I had a little helper at the tail end of yesterday while I was building these cabinets. Here they are in all their glory. So this isn't the final layout. The original plan was two side by side with one kind of coming out here L shape, but someone, not me, got the measurements wrong. Had to send the boss back to the drawing board because the boss got the measurements wrong. She's gone back to the drawing board and we are going to have two side by side, and in this L return leg here we're going to get a shallower unit to slot down the side. Yeah, I mean, nice to have them built. Took an absolute inordinate amount of time to build. This is the box of bits left over. Hopefully they weren't important. No, I promise you, I've filled up all the holes with all of the connections. It would have been much quicker to have built a custom cabinet just with some screws. But anyway, it's done now. There'll be a good temporary long-term solution for the kitchen. Today's job is working with the timber. I'm going to build the supporting stud wall here for where the staircase goes through the ceiling, because as we all know by now, the hallway up here, which spans the end of these joists, is just floating. So not particularly safe. So I've got a bunch of 2x9s or 50 by 225mm timbers, and I'm just going to cut them to size. I'm going to build a little stud here. I say little, they're 2x9s, nothing in 2x9 is little. And I'm going to have a stud, rather than space them, 16-inch 450mm spacing, which would be standard for a stud. I'm going to put a header up there, and then I'm going to place an upright underneath each of the actual joists, and that'll be the temporary long-term stud wall holding up the hallway until such time as this staircase gets removed, and eventually put up this wall here, and all of the joists will be replaced and will be the appropriate distance apart, and we won't have any shenanigans with floating hallways. That's the plan. Oh, and as an added bonus, an exciting little side quest. Well, it's not a side quest, it's going to happen as a happy accident of this main quest. The stud wall here, between the uprights, I'm going to have some horizontals, and we're going to have build in a little bookcase here. So we're going to have a bookcase in the lounge. Before I start cutting any wood, I actually I need to actually lift this ceiling, because right now it's just sags like several inches down from where it should be. Quick job, nice and easy. Right, let's get jacking. Got my handy dandy lightweight aluminium jack, 1¼ ton. Hopefully the ceiling isn't dangling with a 1¼ ton on top of it, so I should be able to jack it up with that no problem. As a one-man band, it's always challenging lifting up heavy bits of timber and fixing them in place. So that's what these beautiful monster clamps are for, worth every single penny. My spare pair of hands. Oh, and if you want to sponsor me, please feel free.
my jacket off. Probably wondering where Kayvan is. I'll tell you in just a sec. I'm taking my jacket off because it's warm in here. Well, sort of. Just me this week doing this bit anyway. Don't worry, Kayvan hasn't left again. I wouldn't let him. He's outside, literally as we speak, working on something that you'll see in next week's vlog. Had a bit of an unideal week, my side, which impacted our filming. But back to the heating. So we've actually switched on the underfloor heating. Now we can't crank it up too hot. My understanding is that because the concrete takes weeks to fully cure, that it wouldn't be a wise idea to bring it up too warm, but it is about 15 degrees Celsius in here. Now that might not sound balmy to you, but for people who dwell in a caravan and who are used to coming in and out of this stone cottage, which has been otherwise unheated, not just for the time that we've owned it, but for years at this point, it feels markedly different, warmer than outside, and very exciting. So as you can see, plastering's still not done. But don't worry, we have a date for that. It's happening. It's happening soon. The bath is not in situ, but it will be. So much is just going to be coming together, hopefully, quite quickly. But progress this week nonetheless, including jacking up the ceiling in the lounge there and having the hallway upstairs supported. Wow. Remember upstairs? No, me neither. So we've spent so much time and energy on the ground floor here because that's where the main bulk of the work has been, that it'd be easy to forget that we even have an upstairs, obviously not in this room, but over the main cottage. And that is where Trevor will sleep. So we had some questions like, where's your daughter going to sleep? Upstairs. But because upstairs is largely just cosmetic up there, not like all of the digging down and demo that had to be done down here, that's why we've left that to last. And I had been hoping to make more progress on Trevor's room this week, but here's why the week was unideal, and here's why Kayvan is not here with me filming this bit now. This week was a complete write-off for me. I had a migraine that plagued me off and on for 4 days. I say off and on because I'd take painkillers and I'd think it'd gone and then it'd be back. Anyway, I've been no use to anybody, basically. And as a consequence, I missed our filming window. And as you can probably imagine, with all of the plates that were spinning around here, we have to run a fairly tight ship with these things, otherwise they don't happen. And so Kayvan literally cannot put his tools down right now to come and film with me, which is a bit of a shame because we actually really enjoy doing this bit together and we enjoy hanging out with you. Anyway, it is what it is. My migraine has, I think, gone. Hopefully. Fingers crossed we will be back to our usual filming next week. Speaking of which, several of you said in the comments what happened to the carry-off last week. We had planned something silly and fun, which sounded like such a good idea at the time, and then we couldn't film it. We might still film it, that's why I'm not telling you what it is. We couldn't film it at the point that we were filming our usual stuff last week, and we thought we'd fit it in the week. Who were we kidding? That didn't happen, so that was the reason why there was no carry-off. Anyway, thank you so much for your comments, guys. Thank you for your support. Thank you for all of you who have been hunting out the hype button. Some of you said that it's only available on certain devices like phone or tablet. Some of you said it's not available in all countries. Apparently, if you hit the like button, then the hype button reveals itself. I appreciate any and all of you who have been supporting us by hitting like and or hype and leaving comments. It's a free way to support us, but it means a lot to us, and we don't get to reply to every single comment every week, but we read a ton of them and it just fills us with so much joy. And just thank you so much, guys, for being here. Definitely tune in next Sunday because we will be with 1 week to go, and I think maybe there is something really big that I in particular am very much looking forward to. We'll see if it happens. See you then.